Dire Chiefs and Cyclones fan, and this one player will make or break Cyclone basketball this season. My name is TJ Cole. Welcome back to Cyclone Kingdom. The Christian Wiggins injury is rough. Let's give a quick reaction to it as the freshman guard who is really going to get some time as a part of this rotation for Cyclone basketball this upcoming season tears his Achilles during summer workouts. Now, TJ Otzelberger is known for running a tight ship. He's very similar to Andy Reid. I mean, being a Chiefs fan, I know this, like just running some very intense off-season workouts, some intense camps. Like he's known for that. So is Christian Wiggins a victim of that? Maybe, but we can't just throw it on TJ Otzelberger and say, oh, this is his fault. Oh, this is the strength staff's fault. The freak injuries that have happened to Iowa State basketball is unreal. Like, if we think about Josh Jefferson, George Niang, even Keyshawn Gilbert's undisclosed injury that ended up being a weird groin injury that sidelined him the rest of the year, they are freak injuries, man. Like, this is not like a lack of strength training or a lack of, being in the gym enough. This is just, we're snake bitten by injuries time and time and time again. So I feel for Christian Wiggins. I feel for what he's going through. I can't imagine the process of being an incoming freshman, being expected a lot of, playing really well, and then tearing your Achilles. And so I wish him the best. I wish him nothing but the best in his recovery. He's going to be back at this time next season, even though he's going to miss all of his freshman year. Hopefully that means he stays at Iowa State and all those different things with the 5-5 rule. But TJ Otzelberger also gave a midsummer press conference, one of the only times we really get to hear from TJ during the offseason before the offseason workouts continue and the basketball season gets up and rolling in late October, early November. And it was very interesting to hear from TJ about how this team looks compared to other teams. Keep in mind, Iowa State's basketball team last year was the best of all time. I mean, they had the potential to do things that Iowa State basketball had never seen before, or at least not in a long time, in terms of going to the Elite Eight, going to the Final Four. If Josh Jefferson doesn't get hurt, we've talked all about that. If you want more thoughts on Josh Jefferson and his legacy and all those different things, we have an exclusive Iowa State podcast over at Cyclone Central if you want to like and subscribe over there. But this team is very interesting this upcoming year. And TJ kind of alluded to that with Jamarian Bateman, Killian Torrey, and Dominicus Plata. And those are the three guys I really want to talk about because one of them, I believe, makes or breaks Cyclone basketball this year in terms of being able to go to that Elite Eight, get through that breakthrough that TJ always talks about and that he even mentioned in the postgame after the Tennessee loss in the Sweet 16. Killian Torrey and Jamarian Bateman have taken steps forward, according to TJ, in terms of their leadership, in terms of their intensity, and in terms of their shot making. Keep in mind, Tim Buckley, the shot doctor, so to speak, is the new assistant coach at Iowa State. So even though you lose a guy like Kyle Green and you lose a guy like Jared Blount to great head coaching jobs and for them to go do their thing, which we're excited for, you bring in a guy that has made NBA prospects in Tim Buckley. Killian Torrey is already a projected second-round draft pick this next year in this upcoming 2027 NBA draft. That's incredible, considering that he didn't really have a consistent shot, consistent ability to get to the rim, or to knock down outside jumpers. Killian Torrey is a top 10 defender in college basketball. And so his ability to add a consistent three-point jump shot, a consistent off-the-dribble drive, is going to be next level for Cyclone basketball. He's super important. Jamarian Bateman and his ability to be the number one option finally as a part of this offense. You saw his ability to take over games at certain points last year. Now, he had the ability to kind of rely on Milan Momcilovic and Taman Lipsey and Josh Jefferson. He didn't really have to take over. Now he gets the chance to take over because he's now the guy. He's now this Wisconsin product that TJ, sniped Wisconsin from again. He gets to come in and as a sophomore in year 2 had this chance for a breakout year that could be talked about for the rest of time in Cyclone basketball history. And so I'm excited for Jamarian to be able to take that step forward. I think he will. I would not be surprised, and don't be surprised if Bateman starts averaging 15 to 20 points a game this season. He's that good. His shot making ability is that good, and his ability to get to the rim and beat you off the dribble. I mean, there was one shot he made this year where he broke a guy's ankles with a crossover dribble, and it was like, that guy doing this as a freshman, what else is he going to do the rest of his Cyclone career? I think it's interesting, too, just a note on that, in terms of whether or not guys stay longer with this 5-5 rule now, how many guys are going to transfer out. I only see guys transferring out from now on as a part of Cyclone basketball if their role is not being met. You think about Jeremiah Williams, right? A guy who ended up going to Georgetown and shining in the Big East tournament this past season. His role wasn't really fitting with Cyclone basketball, so he moved on, right? Nojus Indrusitis, right? He didn't really have the ability to be elite defensively, so he went somewhere else and is trying to make his way over at Pitt. The guys that are the mainstays in Cyclone basketball, the Batemans, the Torres, the Platas, the Buchanans, those guys transferring would be shocking. And here's why. Because Cyclone basketball is on a trajectory right now where you make one Elite Eight, you make one Final Four, and you've become like solidified in the upper tier of college basketball. And I'm talking top 10 teams. Right now, Iowa State's in that top 15 to top 25. Like every single year, you can count on them being a top 25 team. If you finally get that breakthrough that Otzelberger talks about all the time, you go from just being this really cool story and making some Sweet 16s to now you're a perennial powerhouse in college basketball. That's not something that core guys of your team are going to see and be like, yeah, but Duke can do more for me. Yeah, but North Carolina can do more for me. Yeah, but UConn can do more for me. Like, Iowa State could be a part of that discussion in a span of a year or two. That's the reality because of what they've put together. 3 Sweet 16s in 5 years. Or 6 years at this point, right? Half the time, they're becoming one of the last 16 teams standing in college basketball. That's not nothing. But yes, you need that Elite Eight. You need that Final Four. You need to be able to get to that stage and be able to say, we know what it takes now. And I think I think Bateman and Torrey can do that. But the guy who makes or breaks Cyclone basketball this year is Dominicus Plata. It seems kind of far-fetched to say that, but it's not as complicated as it looks. Plata's ability in year one to be able to post somebody up, to take them to the basket, to be able to be a force inside to get rebounds and to block shots was awesome his freshman year. Guys, going into his sophomore season, there's rumors that he's developing a three-point shot. But Dominicus Plata, keep in mind, didn't come from these AAU circuits in America or doing this in LA or this in Vegas. He came from Germany, playing against professional athletes, playing against grown men. You think about the Luka Doncic kind of conversation of how did Luka become so good in the NBA? Well, it's because he'd been playing grown men as a 15-year-old. Played in a similar way, playing a different position, has been playing against professional athletes up until his freshman year. That's why he adapted so well. Guys, if he adds a jump shot, if he adds to the offensive side of the ball for Iowa State basketball, look out below. Because what that would add to an already stingy team defensively, Iowa State's going to be one of the best teams in the country defensively again, could arguably have the best defensive team of the aughts era, which is crazy, but not insane to say at all. If you add offensive firepower to that, where Bateman's doing his thing, Torrey starts hitting shots, and then Dominicus Plata takes you outside and hits 25-footers, that is a top 10 basketball team. That is a Final Four contending basketball team. That's a team that could win the Big 12 and win it all. Because Plata is that good. And Blake Buchanan is that important to Cyclone basketball. So TJ's comments about Plata and about Bateman and about Torrey and all the different things that they've been doing in the offseason is pretty spectacular to think about. It's awesome to hear. And that's not even talking about the transfers. That's not even talking about a Leon Bond who carries himself with a swagger and with an ability to know, like, I've done this at Virginia, I've done this at UNI, I can do this at Iowa State. By the way, from a Skywalker perspective, having a guy like Leon Bond in Hilton Coliseum, look out, man. That could blow the roof off the place for a couple games this year. So you think about Bond, you think about Ryan Prather Jr. having that Gabe Kalsher kind of element to him. Right? You think about a guy like Trey Singleton or Taj Manning kind of adding different elements to this team. And then Jaquan Johnson just being the bulldog of the team. and being able to give Bateman or Torrey a blow. So Iowa State basketball's in a great spot. I hate that Wiggins got hurt, but he was a freshman. It's not like he was this returning player that had a lot of production already returning. Like, he was a freshman that hadn't really proved anything yet. Yes, he was going to be awesome for this team this year. I think he was going to get a lot of minutes. But he wasn't going to be this like key contributor right out of the gate. And so I'm excited for him to kind of go through his rehab and be around the boys still and still kind of have that Jeremiah Williams kind of role on the team where he won't transfer out, hopefully, like Jeremiah Williams, but he'll stick around and be an awesome sophomore next year. Iowa State basketball's in a great spot. TJ's alluded to that. He's talked ad nauseum about it. And Bateman, Plata, and Torrey is the trio that Iowa State could have going into next season, that if they play well offensively, know what they can do defensively, could be a title contending team. Let me know in your comments down below what you think about Cyclone basketball going in 2026-27. It's one of the only videos we'll do on it because we got football previews coming out soon. But let me know what you think about Cyclone basketball and where they stand now that Christian Wiggins is out for the season. And as always, roll Clones. And how about those Chiefs?